Okay, a quick intro to permaculture. What is permaculture? It is simply a design system for sustainable and regenerative human settlements. And who were the architects of the permaculture concept? That would be Bill Mollison and David Holmgren. Mollison, the genius professor from Australia, and his student David Holmgren. My understanding is that David Holmgren submitted the manuscript. It was his thesis in college. He started writing it when he was 20. I think that was 1975, and he submitted it to Bill Mollison, the professor at the University of Tasmania, with whom he was also living at the time. It was submitted for additions and editing, and that culminated in the book Permaculture 1, which was published in 1978 when I was 17. So David Holmgren started writing it when he was 20, finished it, the book was published when he was 23, so I would say he could certainly be my big brother. Boy, how did I know? How would I know? So 1979 was the publication of Permaculture 2. 1988 was Bill Mollison's epic Permaculture, a designer's manual. And I think it was like 603 pages, if I'm right. And that has been considered the Bible by many folks in the permaculture community. It was the first book that really put it all together. The idiosyncrasies, the jots, the tittles, everything about how to design not just a site for food production, but to design an alternative nation, a global nation, to design a village, to design a city, basically an entire design on how we're supposed to live. Well, one might ask, why did this come about? Why did the permaculture concept come about? Well, both Holmgren and Mollison at the time realized that there had to be a better way to live. Mollison was a shark fisherman, a trapper. He left high school early to work in his family's bakery, as I recall the story. He worked for the government out in the field, doing soil surveys, and I believe he either went back to college or went to college in the mid-60s when he was 40 years old, or right around that. I think he was born in 28, so he might have been 38 or so when he went back to college, 35 to 38, and I think he got a degree in biogeography, perhaps. But anyway, he was a professor teaching at the University of Tasmania when he met this young student, David Holmgren. And actually, I think Holmgren was living with him at the time. But they were both unhappy with what they saw. And they believed there had to be a better way. And they had reviewed some books. One of the books was a book written by J. Russell Smith in 1927 called Tree Crops, a Permanent Agriculture. And that is, I believe, where the idea permaculture, permanent agriculture, came from. So in one way, we could look at the growing food aspect of permaculture as being to emulate the forest. And I've kind of shortened my philosophy of permaculture to 5 words. Be fair, be the forest. The ethics of permaculture, as they were derived from many Many of indigenous cultures' belief systems boil down to basically what we refer to now as earth care, people care, and fair share, or what some would call process care, which is the redistribution of surplus, population control, and consumption control. Most indigenous societies, most sustainable indigenous societies, had several ethics, but they basically boil down to those three: earth care, people care, and fair share or process care, which includes redistribution of surplus, population control, and consumption control. Holmgren, in 2002, wrote the book Principles and Pathways to Sustainability. Did I get the title right? Permaculture, Principles and Pathways to Sustainability. I probably should do a better job of this before I do a video, but this is one take, so I'm just going to do one take. But in that, he put together 12 principles. And I'm not going to go through all 12 principles, but the first one was observe and interact. Bill Mollison's first principle, as I recall, was cooperation. And I think that sums it up well also. In society, as in an ecosystem, cooperation is important. So cooperation and observation and interaction. So be fair, be the forest, cooperate, observe, and interact. And there has to be a better way. That's my intro.